and the vessels and the different colors, which was amazing to me because we here on Earth, when we cut each other open, we do have a specific color for veins and arteries and organs and whatnot. We actually are colored on the inside. And to see the magnificent, vast array of different colors that I've never seen before inside body tissue, and some of it bioluminescent, even after the body part has passed away, was, a good indication that this is definitely not from around here. And so that being said, it was basically about 3/4 of the year in where I knew, all right, this is not even hybrid, because hybrid tissue and grown tissue from clones, I can definitely differentiate, because any lab person in here can tell you that, when you do 1 million biopsies and you know what the tissue looks like on the microscope and on the electron microscope, and you're getting, these samples, you kind of know what human tissue is, and you know what malignant tissue is, and you know what tissue that's not healthy looks like. It's very friable, it falls apart, And this is the things that were happening. I was like, well, this tissue has third spacing in it, which is what we call liquid between the cells. And I know that was either caused by inflammation or it was a grown substance. And, and they do slip in, so, about 1% of the stuff I work on is basically fake, but they do that for quality control of the actual technician, to make sure that if something does happen later on, no one's going to believe them that they walked out. A good example of this is many security guards that have come forward in the past have said, oh, I saw a reptilian down the hallway, escorted by 2 people. And I have the same story too. Now, I don't know if that reptilian humanoid 8 feet tall is real. Is it a hybrid? Is it a programmed life form? Or is it was shown to me just because if something happens and I go out and step on stage that you guys are going to think I'm, bat crazy. So these are the things they do, and they do implement a lot of disinformation for scientists. And the more that you're compliant, the more they don't do that, by the way. The more you're not compliant and you're having problems, you're not complying so well, they're going to test you a lot more. And I learned this also through a friend the hard way.
So let's talk about the first time that you saw a foot that looked like a human foot. I'm curious about the color of it, and were you saying to yourself, man, this looks like it could be from a human being, but something is off? What was the first foot you saw?
Well, hands and feet were starting to be the norm, and that was interesting just for a couple of weeks. And I don't know if they were testing it or whatnot, but these phalanges had multiple joints. Some had fingernails, some didn't. They were in the most magnificent colors you've ever seen, and patterns of yellow and blue and green, and some were tricolored, and some were energetically pulsating and still emitting light. And some of these you had to be inoculated for, actually, to work on them, because they were interdimensional light samples, which means you have to be really careful for these cells not to activate them, that they'll just disappear. And that has something to do with the genetic DNA, and also they have a program in the DNA for a lot of interdimensional ETs that protects the DNA from being discovered by not so intelligent life forms, that it'll break down and liquefy, so we can't, utilize that genetic DNA because we want to.
Well, this is really interesting because one of the websites that I use for insider information is tbrnews.org. And the guy there, who goes under various pseudonyms, including Walter Storch, had interviewed Robert Crowley in a book called Conversations with the Crow. And Crowley was this high-level CIA guy. And in the book, they describe a particular situation where a woman, seemingly normal woman, was walking around and gets hit by, I guess it was a bus, and she slams up against a wall. They bring her to the hospital. They put her in the OR. She dies. And while they have her on the operating room table, her body literally melted into jelly, like this weird clear jelly. And the immediate people that got involved, I believe, were the FBI or the CIA. I think it was the FBI. And all of a sudden what happened was Air Force personnel came in, seized the whole base, swore everyone to secrecy, and threatened them with death if they ever spoke, and then told these CIA guys or FBI guys, this is totally out of your jurisdiction, you are not on a need to know. And they confiscated the material. So that's one of these weird stories that I've heard for a long time, and because I've done so much of this research, now that you're telling